15, it's the same kind of thing. If you think about percents, usually we express them with 2 decimal places. So it ends up being a lot like the money problem on number 15. It says Marty Lister invested $9,000. So that's how much he invested. And then it says, I'll kind of make a list of what we know over here. So 9,000 is the amount of money invested. Okay, then it says the stocks paid 5%. So he gets paid 5% for stocks. And the bonds pay 8%. So he's basically going to make some money off stocks and bonds. And he gets an annual income of $525. How much did he invest in bonds?
Does it say -6 in the corner?
Okay. So here's what we got to kind of know. Let me pick a bigger font, a bigger marker. All right. We're going to assume here that it's simple interest. Interest is the percent times the rate times the time. And here, if you think about it, he's just doing 1 year. They said his annual income. So this formula, what I'm going to do is just, P is principal, R is rate, and T is time. And they're assuming you've done these before, but I don't think the Abeka book last year had these, and we were like working on algebraic things. So P is your principal. Principal is the amount you invest, okay? Rate is like your percentage rate. But here, our time is just 1 year, so it's just going to be ended up be that our interest we would earn from something would be the amount we invested times the rate. Except that he didn't just buy one thing, did he? He bought some stocks and he bought some bonds. I'm going to call stocks X, because if I call it S, it'll look like a 5, and I'll have too many questions about is that an S or a 5, okay? So I'm just going to, X is the number of stocks, the amount in stocks that he earned. Or no, let's put it this way. It's the amount he invested in stocks. He's going to take some money, and he's got invested in 2 things. Some of it goes to stocks, and some of it goes to bonds. So X is how much he's going to invest in stocks. And I'm going to call the amount invested in bonds as B, just because B at least will remind us that's the amount that's in bonds. Okay, so if you add up the amount of stocks he invests, the amount of money invested in stocks, plus the amount of money invested in bonds, it adds up to a total of $9,000 that he invested, right? They didn't really give us a good way here to split this up into 2 variables, so I'm not going to do this one as a 2 variable problem. I guess I could, if we could. All right, so if you're thinking about how much he's got in stocks or how much he made, I need to go to another page. Let me go to another page. How much did he make in stocks? How much did earn in stocks? Which probably plus how much, I'll just put how much earned in bonds is equal to that $525, right? Now, if you think about it, that would be stocks paid, what, 5%? Let me get back on the part. Yeah, stocks paid 5%. So when you say 5% of stocks, which I decided to call X because I didn't want to mess with the S, and in bonds, they paid 8%. So when you multiply the 8% times the amount that he had in bonds, And if you got that, it would be 525, right? That's how much he earned. We're talking about here how much he earned. This is the total he earned. They said he made that much money in a year. So that's the percentage rate times the amount of money that he invested. So that's one equation. I don't like the decimals, y'all. What am I going to do to get rid of them? Multiply everything by 100. So that's just going to move the decimal place over 2 spots here, and it'll add 2 zeros onto the end on the other one. So I would end up with 5x plus 8b is 52,500. At least I don't have decimals, right? Isn't that $9,000? That's how much he invested, bless you. That's how much he invested. They told us in the problem. So let's call X the amount. We said it was the amount in stocks. And B is the total amount in bonds. That would give me 9,000. Those are my two equations, right? Which one of them has either an X or a B by itself? 1 or 2? 2. I could get X by itself or I could get B by itself. Let's see what they asked me in the problem. They asked me how much did he invest in bonds. I'd like to have a B in my answer. So why don't I get rid of the X? Is that okay with everybody? Because that way we don't have to plug it in to find the other one. So let me solve for X, and then I'll go up here and I'll take the X out and I'll put whatever X is in its place. If I solve for X, couldn't I just do that by subtracting B from each side? And X would just be 9,000 minus B. All right, so my equations were 5X plus 8B is 52500, and I just solved for X, and X was 9,000 minus B. So if I take the X out, and in its place, I'm going to put in that 9,000 minus B. Because they're equal, I can use them to substitute in. Okay. Oh, how I wish I had not written that there. I want to put this to the side. I got to distribute on the left-hand side, so we'll do that, and that'll kind of get it all on one line again. 5 times 9,000, wouldn't that be 45,000? Okay. And 5 times negative b would be minus 5b. So that's all that. And then I got the plus 8b equal 52500. And I got some like terms, right? Minus 5b plus 8b, that'd be the same thing as saying 8b plus negative 5b or 8b minus 5b. Wouldn't that be just 3b? Okay, so 45,000 plus 3b is 52500. And I want to know how much he invested in bonds. That's what B represents. So if I just solve for B, I've got my answer. So let me move the 45,000 to the other side. It's positive, so I'll subtract it. And I'd get 3b, and let's see. Ugh. Why did I do that? I didn't have to do that. That was stupid. Oh well. Yeah, it's just 7,500. Forget that. Don't do that. Like I said, brain's not working on full cylinders today. And you divide both sides by 3 to get B by itself, right? If you divide 7,500 by 3, it's going to be 2,500. Oh, he invested $2,500 in bonds. If I wanted to know stocks, I could say he had $9,000. If he invested $2,500 in bonds, then the stocks would just subtract those two. That would give you your stocks. But they didn't ask me that. They just asked me for amount in bonds.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Bye-bye. All right. Number 11 says the sum of two numbers is 100. So I'm going to call my numbers x and y. So one equation would be x plus y is 100. That's, just the two numbers add up to 100. 5 times the smaller number. In class, we decided to make y the smaller number. Okay, thanks. Just stick them. Thank you very much. We're going to say x is the larger number. If only the thing would catch when I write, okay? So it says For our second equation, it's going to say 5 times the smaller number. So 5 times y is means equal to 8 more than the larger number. So it would be 5y is equal to 8 plus x. Or x plus 8. Okay. So if I want to solve for something, I could do this. I could say, I got lots of things by themselves up here. There's a couple ways I could do it. But let's say, okay. So if I want to get something by itself, I could do either one of them. I'm just going to choose to take the first equation just because I can. And again, you might decide to do the second equation. And I'm going to solve it for, x. Okay? If I get x by itself, or if I want to get x by itself, I could subtract y from each side, and x would be 100 minus y. So since I used this equation to create what I'm going to use to substitute, I'm going to go to the other equation and plug this in. So 5y is equal to 8 plus x. I'm going to take this x out, and I'm going to replace it with what x is equal to. It's equal to 100 minus y. Okay? Now I just need to simplify that side. If I do that, I've got an equation. It just has one variable, so I can solve it. 5y is equal to 8 plus 100, which would be 108, minus y. There's no distributing to do there because that was just a plain old x. So if I want to get all my y's together, they're on both sides, it would be easier to move the y to the other side by adding it, and it also is nice because it's positive. We like positive numbers. If 6y is equal to 108, I can solve for y by dividing each side by 6. Now, I don't have really room on here to do that, so I'm just going to do it in a calculator and write the answer. 108 divided by 6 would give me that y is equal to 18. So that's what y is. That's the smaller number. Now, how am I going to find x? Well, I know that x plus y is 100. I could plug it in there. If I wanted to, it'd be real easy to plug it in right here. That's probably the easiest place to plug it in because it's got the x by itself. Actually, I can do this on this page. 100 minus y is 18, so just plug it in to get the other one because remember, we want both numbers. 100 minus 18 would be 82. So our larger number is 82, and our smaller number is 18.